Esports.
Yeah, 2014 Worlds. It was a 3-1 versus Cloud9 in the quarterfinals. Let's see if Deft can reignite some best of 5 magic coming into this one, or rather get rid of it because it's a bit of a curse on him right now. We are going to jump straight into picks and bans. LeBlanc, excuse me.
We won't be making bank anyway.
I was going to say, I was thinking it's like bonk, you know, bonk and you disappear, banned away. The Kiana and the Lucian as well. Would not be surprised to see Hanwha Life with their last ban go towards that Aphelios.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Aphelios kind of stepping up as a big one there yesterday for Doggo, and you still have to keep your eyes on the bot side, right? Because we know that Deft likes to bring out things like the Jinx. He's still got a ton of these pocket picks. We know Doggo's got the Draven. So I think certainly when we see that the likes of the Misfortune still up and available too, maybe we get this first pick coming through for the side of Beyond Gaming.
See what the last one is going to be for Hanwha Life. Of course, it's going to be first pick here for Beyond. Hanwha Life were the highest seeds. They chose red going into this first game, and it is the loser who chooses thereafter. So we'll see if red side is in fact the power pick side. But no, they're going to go with the Lilia. So recognizing the fact that they might look to try and put Husha onto those AP-style junglers.
Yeah, because he's been playing on the Shinjao, which is already by the way 6 games there. The Lilia he looked phenomenal on yesterday and really kind of brought back what we were expecting from Husha. So just trying to prioritize that. But as we said, Misfortune left open, and we know that Kinos likes to play things like the Rakan, the Amumu. That will slot in nicely alongside that aggressive bot lane, but Lee Sin left open, and a lot of those junglers banned away. They're going to prioritize that for Husha.
Yeah, give him something he's comfortable with. Give him something that during the regular split of PCS summer he looked fantastic on. So we'll see. He hasn't looked amazing on it so far this this tournament, but we'll see if he's able to reignite that passion.
Yeah, I was about to say though, big picks left open here for Hanwha Life. You've got the Aurelia, which can go in towards Chovy in the mid lane. Flex top, you can pick up that Misfortune. That's 2 very solid power picks for yourselves. And if you want to start putting that in towards the mid lane for Chovy, you can always look towards something like the Camille that Morgan is favored back over in the LCK.
Well, now we'll see exactly what the response is here from Beyond. They've got themselves an opportunity to lock in the Aphelios Thresh if they decide to go for it, but no, they're going to look towards maybe a little bit of a different, safer AD carry that can get away from that all-inning, or maybe they go for exactly what we talked about.
I'm not a big fan of the Aphelios, so this is an old school counter, and the Misfortune is locked in. So Misfortune, because you got the bullet time, because you got the slow and the make of rain, it makes it really difficult for the Aphelios to operate. So actually opting into the counter matchup, so maybe they try to pair this with something like a Leona in the bot side, so at least you can try and stop that bullet time and open up movement opportunities for the Aphelios.
And I'm going to say it now, if there's any champion that I want Doggo on, it's Aphelios, because this man can 1v5. This man can take the entire team on his back just as a champion and get them that victory.
It definitely feels like when you've Leon and PK here, you've got to kind of double down on the Doggo carry, right? Let's see if they'll decide to go towards that with the Aphelios, but I am very curious what happens with these solo lanes now, because in my head, right, if you've got the Aurelia there, maybe you want to try and opt in towards these more bruiser-orientated matchups in the solo lane, so you can try and survive some of that early pressure from the Aurelia. I mean, even things like the Tryndamere as well can still come through here if they want to.
Well, Leona locked and loaded, like you said, so it is going to be that very powerful, very hard kind of engaged tool in the bot side. You got the Leona with the Misfortune, who Leona's had a fantastic time in terms of being a champion at the tournament so far. Really high win rate, really high pick rate, and it's definitely working out for a lot of these teams, especially when you can rely on someone else to do the damage for you.
I feel like you're going to get a lot of these solo lanes bans coming through though, and kind of like the ones that can match both topside, right? So you got Jax. I wouldn't be surprised if you're actually maybe looking for, as we said, a Camille angle here for Hanwha. So already with the Jax ban coming through, trying to take away some of those counters. Renekton also another possibility. This is where definitely you want to try and take that off if you're eyeing up that Camille. But on the side of Beyond Gaming, you have to start looking at these AP mid lane or junglers, because you know that this Aurelia, they're trying to use that flexibility, so getting rid of the Talia.
Yeah, and we have seen Morgan on the Aurelia as well, so still yet to see where that one is going. Could go to Chovy, could go to Morgan, but like you said, just banning away things like the Lilia's gone away, the Talia, the Jax now, maybe even we see a Camille potentially getting taken away. There is a lot of options available to Beyond.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to be looking at Beyond, obviously you want these bruiser front lines, right? You want something big and beefy to just sit in front of this Aphelios. Actually, a non-ban coming through for Hanwha, which is interesting, but on Hanwha Life, I feel like you've got a couple of opportunities, right? You can go more teamfight orientated when you've got the Misfortune, but you can also just use her for great wave clear and try and play it through side lanes if they want to opt in towards things like the Tryndamere or the Camille or these strong laners.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We'll see now what the final ban from Beyond is going to be. Just waiting to see now where they want to get from it there. And I don't think there's a number. I feel like that's a bit of a graphical issue. I will get confirmation, though, before I confirm anything else. But right now, we're looking at it. Where do you want to see this draft go for the side of Hanwha Life?
I mean, if the Camille is open, I think it works great, right? Unless they want to go for something like the Renekton for Morgan, just guarantee him a strong top-side matchup. Bit of an interesting one to try and see. But we're saying, hey, look, we wanted these AP junglers. Keep yourself nice and flexible as to where this rally is going to go. And we're going to get it for Willer. You've got crazy strong lanes for this Nidalee in the early stages as well. And you've got a nice long-range composition that you can work with that bodes well against an Aphelios. But now we're going to see the Zoe hovered here. I'm not sure. I think the best thing here is just more kind of frontline damage. I'd love a set. I think set would work really well here. Something that can kind of just hold its own. We talked about the Tryndamere, and it looks like that's going to be the call here. Having that flexibility, and also something that works nicely. Old school top laner that is now being moved to the mid seems to fit this for Beyond.
Yep, can get confirmation that it is a graphical issue. They are not missed bans. So we do have the Sejuani being banned by Beyond, and the Ornn was banned away by Hanwha Life. So taking away those big engage tools, something that we're not going to be able to see obviously coming into the last few bans, or last few picks. But the Gwen, again, the Tryndamere and the Gwen are two things that are interchangeable between mid and top and can work in helping out your team.
Yeah, but my biggest problem right now is I look at Beyond and go, where's your engage tools, right? A Thresh Hook, not really solidifying it. You go towards at least Sin, then as your other big engage. Like, that's not really selling me here if you're trying to look for these team fights. Whereas when you look across a Hanwha, right, you've got crazy strong solo laners in the Aurelia, and now you're getting this Fiora as well. So strong side lanes that can collapse and work really well in a team fight as well. I just feel like Hanwha kind of has more options when it comes towards how they want to operate on the map.
I think that Fiora was very clearly going in towards that mid lane. I think they're trying to put it up against the Tryndamere, that old school top lane matchup, now moving around the map a little bit more. But we've seen, you know, the likes of Ale taking on the Fiora, and when that thing becomes a snowball and that thing gets going, it's a monster. It's so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we're going to have to see exactly where all these guys line up, because don't forget, just because PK's on the Gwen and Liang's on the Tryndamere doesn't mean that we're not seeing the Tryndamere mid and them swapping around. So I think it will still be the Tryndamere mid going up against the Fiora. And as he said, like, you get a bit of opportunity there to look to scale up. You can try and heal into that matchup as well when you get access to that level 6, and you've got that crazy strong side lane presence. So we'll have to see exactly how this one's going to turn out. But right now, Hanwha, I just feel like their draft overall is a little bit nicer.
A little bit nicer, but we can't attribute everything to the Summoner's Rift. Human error, and of course, just how the game goes. So many different things can happen, but right now, Hanwha Life looking to get themselves their first step forward towards those group stages, to becoming the 4th seed from the LCK, to get themselves into the group stage. And we only got 2 spots left. There's only 2 available positions before we start the main event.
That's insane, right? I mean, if already a week done, and I mean, Hanwha trying to prove to themselves here that they can go up against the best. You're looking across at Beyond as well, trying to show, hey, look, PCS as a region has come such a long way. Now having a second team that is trying to take on the LCK and push themselves in towards groups.
Well, here we are. Hanwha Life Esports versus Beyond Gaming. Winner goes to groups, loser goes home. And already we're seeing Husha just taking a spear to the face, knowing that he just has to be very wary of Willer throwing out those spears.
And I feel like when you're looking towards Willer here, he's got so many opportunities, right? You can either start to move in towards that top side, play around the Morgan having the stun on the Aurelia. You're also going to have like Vista, who can set you up well on the bot side, especially around that level 6. So I'm excited to see if Hanwha will actually have this more proactive lane-focused style with Willer.
See if they want to go for it. Another spear lands. Javelin toss right into the Tryndamere's face as we wait to see now where these lane matchups go. Well, interesting enough, Chovy on this Fiora has gone with the Ghost, so is looking to be aggressive, is looking to get on top of you and in your face. And honestly, I'm looking at the side of Beyond Gaming. Apart from a stray Thresh Hook, there's no real CC to stop him.
Yeah, I think the big thing here for Chovy is obviously the Ghost giving you a little bit more run around it when you're looking in towards those team fights, but also like chase potential against Liang, who on the Tryndamere is going to take that Ghost Flash. So you can try and use the Q on the Fiora to try and move around, and then make sure you're either keeping pace or running the heck away from Liang as he's coming in your direction.
Of course, you see the Tryndamere into the mid lane, so despite the positions on the board. We'll get them finished off and swapped around, but we are going to have PK up on the top side with Liang in the mid lane, so we'll keep an eye on that one as it does develop. But let's have a look at the bot lane, because someone that obviously we talked about with Doggo, but someone we didn't really talk about a lot was Deft, and Deft has been putting out some absolutely insane numbers for the side of Hanwha.
Yeah, it's been absolutely insane. Honestly, for both these AD carries, as Doggo might take a little bit of damage here, but
Vista, you need to be a bit careful there, man. Yes, you got a little bit of a trade, but I don't think you want to be taking that one. But yes, Deft, looking good, getting the level 2 here, should be able to push in this wave.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at like damage percent and DPM, it's basically Deft and Doggo who are topping our planes, right? Deft is hitting at 35% damage percent. In that second place to Doggo at 36%. Then you look at damage per minute, it's first for Deft, it's second for Doggo. These two players do so much for their respective teams, and it's why when you're looking towards like the ability for Misfortune to bully this bottom side of the map, Doggo and Kino need to be careful that they're not falling too far behind and they're hitting that late game fantasy with this Aphelios.
You want to hit the 200 years as quick as possible. We are going to see some decent trading coming out. Hook just barely going wide as Deft was able to strut himself away. And again, expected to see in this bot side, the Misfortune Leona is going to have that push priority pretty much constantly until we get to the mid game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be super interesting to see how we start to progress forward into the mid game, because as I said, I think Hanwha, you've got good opportunities when it comes towards side lanes, but certainly your team fighting is going to be a little bit stronger. I think the Fiora will outscale the Tryndamere, but if you're going to go with the Gwen into the Aurelia, I think the Gwen has a good amount of help there because she's got that true damage, so it doesn't get stopped by like things like the W from the Aurelia, so you end up in this situation where you've got scaling opportunities on both sides, so it really comes down to execution and how you set yourself up in the early game to succeed later.
And this is the big thing as well. Beyond and Hanwha, both very, very good in those early games. Beyond definitely faltering in those mid games around those neutral objectives. So can they
say that again?
I know, right? As they said on the desk, it definitely felt more like a 5-0. It definitely felt like they were in control most of the time. So even if Beyond do get an early start, they do get an early advantage, we kind of have to add that little caveat of like, how do you execute on this? How do you transition it?
Yeah, and the thing that you got to worry about for Hanwha as well is like, although we look at them as a very slow team, they have consistently been able to get these massive leads at the 15-minute mark. They're 2,700 gold up on average of 15, but maybe not this time as Vista.
Vista, a lot of trouble. There will be a jungler here on the second flash forward, gets the shield of day breakdown. Kino gonna have the flash himself, double summoners burned, and it's the supports that walk away a little bit wounded, but at the end of it all, no one goes down, just a couple of summoners burned.
Yeah, and at least Doggo should be able to collapse this wave. You got Hushy who's there. If Willer comes over this wall though, he may not find exactly what he's looking for. Will decides to back away, but we're kind of seeing like, although we're getting Hanwha with these massive gold leads, I want to point out that it's more or less Hanwha staying in their lanes and just being better as laners. But we'll have to see if they decide to change that up, as Chovy is doing wonders in this mid lane and getting a ton of push.
Yeah, already got the Executioner's calling as well, so went back, TP'd back in, said, look, I'm not going to lose anything. I know that the TP advantage is not going to mean much. With a Tryndamere in the mid lane, you're not exactly a Twisted Fate, so you're just going to be able to keep that pressure down, keep him going, and just CSing at a nice even rate.
Yeah, and you can see there, right? You've got the Gwen for PK, 23 CS, up against this Aurelia, who is doing work for Morgan. He's doing a pretty good job of keeping this this Gwen in check, especially as you get to the level 3. That's where you start to take over a lot, and now Morgan having a ton of success here. Also getting the level 6 soon. Gonna reset and make sure that he can come into lane with full mana, so he can try and abuse the fact he should hit level 6 first.
You see PK just trying to slowly take this wave up with teleport coming in, and with Willer on the top side. It is going to mean that Husha is caught out here, does get the smite down to make sure he secures that wolf camp, but these two junglers definitely on the same path right now, just side by side, like ships in the night, saying, look, we know where you are, we know what you're trying to do, but we're also here, so always be careful.
Yeah, I think the benefit of this, though, is for Willer, right? Because the Nidalee at least can clear faster, have a little bit more time on the map. So for Husha, you're at least saying you want to be trying to make these plays early. Now, as we said, you got a good amount of scaling on the Aphelios, you got the Gwen there, so it's not the end of the world. My biggest issue is, although you've got the Aphelios who has better scaling than the Misfortune, it's really difficult for the Aphelios to operate in team fights where a Misfortune exists. So I'm curious to see if Doggo can still have that big impact in team fights, or whether they will be relying on like PK and Leon coming in off of flanks and making sure that Deft can't stand there with the ultimate, unlocking Doggo to actually aggress forward with his team.
We're actually seeing almost a full 1,000 gold lead, just 800, just a little bit underneath it, just purely from the lane difference. It doesn't matter if you're looking at top or bot, or top or mid. It doesn't matter which one you compare them to. They're about 20 CS or so down on both sides. So this passive lead just building up for Hanwha. Again, like we said, Beyond were great at the early game, and this is going to be a bit of a struggle for them right now. As we do see the Xenoblade comes in, they're going to get the Flay down. Kino will not get caught out, but he gets the exhaust down straight away. They're going to have Willer onto the tower, who is already flashed, and Doggo will pick up his kills. They trade 1 for 1. Not ideal for Hanwha, but you'll take it for Beyond.
Not at all. Hanwha are trying to go right. As you said, the one lane that's kind of going okay for Beyond is this bot side. Let's see if we can shut it down, but they're not given that opportunity. Kino gets the hook just as he goes down, which means he's yoinking Willer underneath the turret and can pick up the kill. Now you got a little bit of gold back over towards the Aphelios, which is the important one in this lane.
Yeah, it is the important one. There's the bullet time coming out. Doggo going to be underneath his turret. Has red, white, so we'll be favoring a fight. Double up, not good. Don't know if we want to go for that, but now Chovy going to be finding himself in a 1v3. They're going to get the slowdown. He has no flash. He opted for the ghost, which has already been popped off. They flash in on top of him. He gets the riposte down. They're going to be able to get him out because they're just too afraid to fully engage on top of him. And he's going to be able to find himself at the blue buff, but PK and Husha are in hot pursuit. They need one last auto attack. I think Chovy's just going to wait for the execute, and that should be enough to get him out. No, never mind. Liang picks himself up a kill, so not quite getting the timing. Still good moves from Beyond.
Yeah, the thing is, though, you end up committing the play from PK towards the mid lane, which means Morgan gets the shove, and you actually end up losing the decent chunk of that wave before Husha goes and collects it. So Liang kind of losing it, or sorry, PK losing it.
Oh, Death though gets caught out by a hook. They're going to use the Moonlight Vigil. Willer is here. He doesn't know if he wants to go underneath the tower just yet. He takes the turret shot. He can't fully commit because the wave is not quite there. Now it is, and now he's going to look for something to go. As Doggo just going to try and use these chakrams to keep himself alive, keep himself pushing, but there's enough burst damage down. Death tanking up the turret perfectly. Vista going to be able to pick up a second, and they answer back in the bot side.
Yeah, Kino unfortunately not quite able to save it. Vista though, he's going to fall down.
Yeah, he's dead. It's Kino, though, who picks up the kill. So Liang would have absolutely adored getting that kill, but not quite able to get it. And while it's been happening, Husha recognizes, hey, I'm on by myself on the top side. I'll take Rifty.
Again, though, you're being run around the map as Beyond Gaming, right? You got Liang is now committed to the bot lane, which means you're getting Chovy with the shove in the mid. You will just about, it looks like, manage to get Doggo there to collect this wave, so it won't be as bad. And we'll have to see exactly where the Rift Turret's going to go, but this is the replay here, right? Doggo and Kino realize that they're going to get dove on this play, but unfortunately, you've got Husha on the top side, so the only way out is to fight forward, try and clear out the wave, but unfortunately just not quite able to get away from all that damage that Hanwha have available bot side.
You know what's crazy? I think if he has red-white, I think he actually wins that fight. Like, I think he just sustains through it, which is kind of a little bit crazy to think about, but we are going to see now a little bit of a even state in terms of the kills, but still about a 1,500, almost 2,000 gold lead for the side of Hanwha. And again, it's just through these laning phases.
And the big problem is that it's the two solo laners, right? So when we were talking about, hey, you know, you got the opportunity to try and play at 1-3-1, well, you're not really going to do that, right? Because both of your solo laners for Beyond are already behind, and Hanwha, they're powering up. You've got the Yomu's Ghostblade there for Deft, Gourd Drinkers both on the way for Morgan and Chovy, so they'll be able to take over in side lanes eventually if we're going to continue on this trajectory of the two solo lanes for Hanwha just lane diffing their opponents.
We actually have the Proto Belt here for the side of Willer, or the Rocket Belt, excuse me, as he's now finished up his first item. And again, this is just little small things that if they can keep this momentum going, Hanwha Life should be able to get themselves at the objectives first, should be able to get themselves in a 1-3-1 in a better position.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Beyond here is, right, let's try and execute some sort of plan on bot side, right? I want to see Husha, like, help mid lane get that push in, rotate down towards bot side. You've already taken two turret plates, see if you can get more.
Here we go, flash forward, they're going to get the shield of day, right? But Kino is not really the target you want. They invest an awful lot into that, and feels like Hanwha are trying to get something on down onto Doggo, but that just isn't the target you want to be going onto. Kino is still quite tanky.
This is the play we're talking about, though, right? Support Liang, help him get this push, then rotate down to the bottom side. I want to see them try and get this bot lane turret, but, I mean, Hanwha, they're reading this so well, right? You get the vision orb there just to make sure that you can actually spot out where Beyond are going, and with Chovy being on this health, he at least has to back away and maybe Beyond get a second rotation.
Now, Vista will be spotted out in a ward there, so they will recognize that the jungle and support of Hanwha are around, but that could mean a dragon for the side of Beyond Gaming as they get themselves a nice little move, as Depp might be in a bit of trouble. Has got flash available, so Kino not quite able to break the distance as Liang is going to take himself a javelin to the back of the head. They are going to drop down the Rift Herald like he talked about.
Look at the pings, though. There's a ward in behind Beyond Gaming. Chovy just reset. They may be looking to try and make a play on this Rift Herald bot side.
There are no TPs available for Morgan, though, just yet, so it could be a native 5v5. There's the Rift Herald getting its charge off. They're thinking about it. They're looking to see if they can land a little bit of poke. but with the Gravitum and the Inferno, very difficult to land onto Doggo, and if he catches you out with a Moonlight Vigil, it could spell disaster for Hanwha.
Yeah, especially as you can see, he's got just the ability to lock you down is going to be so crucial for guys like Liang, who can dive endlessly because of that ultimate. But Beyond Gaming will be happy just getting the gold. They're going to back away, and crucially, the big one player that we're looking at here is going to be Doggo, seeing if he can have that moment in team fights. He's been the big carry for Beyond Gaming, and now he's been given the resources to once again step up to that role.
See, they're covering for that mid lane while this all been happening. Again, Morgan, 113 CS. Chovy, 117 CS versus 80 at 90. As we can see now, Husha might be in a little bit of trouble. Just get himself away, but the Vanguard's edge is enough to keep him a little bit slowed up. They will jump on top of him. The Javelin Toss not quite going to land. And now Morgan going in 1v2. He hasn't quite got his jungler with him just yet. He almost goes ticking down. One more tick of the Ignite. Not quite going to be able to get him. The riposte slows down PK, who's just trying to keep Chovy at bay. Liang is here. It's a 3v2. I don't think they want to fully commit to this one here yet. Morgan has got TP. They have got Vistas roaming up as well. This could be terrible for the solo laners.
Yeah, they don't want to try and go too far forward. You've always got the TP option to come back in. You know the support's potentially there because they're not being spotted on the bottom side. But this could actually open up an opportunity for Beyond to get pressure on the bottom lane, right? You can always hoosh in here, make sure that you're trying to... Oh, hang on, Doggo.
Deft just uses it there. All for reward.
Okay, I want to see Doggo fast push this lane though, right? You know Vista's top side. You've only got a single turret plate left in the bot lane. See if you can grab it before it falls. But we're going to get a replay just on this play. Top side is great play from Morgan, right? Sitting off just outside of vision, and unfortunately, despite the slow, Willer isn't able to connect with this, so it means that you're not able to finish off Husha. And I like that Husha's attempts here, nearly able to get down Morgan, just not quite enough damage before the Lee Sin falls.
Yeah, we are seeing the picture-in-picture there. Bot lane turret did fall, and of course, Liang taking an unfavorable trade against Morgan as well, as they've swapped up the lanes just a little bit more. So I think PK now has the sustainability, if you will, to be able to deal with the Fiora. Has a little bit of extra damage, a little bit of extra AP, and now do they look to try and take down this Aurelia? Morgan, no flash, used it last time, and no Vanguard's edge as well, so does pick up a plate, but 160 gold for a plate, 300 for a kill as Morgan jumps down. He's going to try and TP himself away. He should be able to get himself out. Not enough damage! Oh, as I say it, I was almost eating my words. Very, very close. And while you commit those resources top, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Bot, Dragon goes over to Hanwha.
Yeah, not even close. Totally calculated. Morgan just wanted to back for his gourd drink. He's like, well, I get it a little bit 4 seconds faster, you know, it's going to be great. Yeah. I mean, look, Beyond Gaming at least tried. And I think the big thing is Hanwha, again, trading onto the opposite side of the map. Because one of the things I wanted to point out was we're 15 minutes essentially into this game, and that's only the first Dragon. And when I'm looking at things like Misfortune, definitely being able to play off the strength of that bot side, I'm surprised we haven't seen more attention here for Hanwha when they've been so good at taking dragons earlier on.
Deft needs to be so careful, has to pop his heal. The Moonlight Vigil was doing a hell of a lot of damage, and this is the Doggo that we're talking about. This Aphelios pick can wreak havoc, but a TP's coming in off the back side of this. They're going to try and jump onto Husha, but oh, that was so smart! That was so smart! Oh my god, I love that play. Using it to knock Morgan over the top, but they're not quite out of dodge yet. They need to get himself out there. He's going to use the Vanguard's edge down on top of him, but they're going to be able to commit to this one. There's the Dragon's Rage kick. He lands Sonic Wave as well. There's a TP coming in from PK as well. They're going to fully commit onto Morgan. Morgan's trying to dash. He's trying to flash. He's trying to get on top of him. He'll trade 1 for 1. PK now getting a grand challenge on top of him. The Tryndamere is still here. Still has the Undying Rage. Chovy slowed down. Gets his resistances dropped a little bit. It's going to be a 3v2 in a moment. You have got the Undying Rage popped, and now that cooldown is gone. They're going to keep chasing on top of him. They don't need to go for PK just yet. They're going to force the flash out of the Tryndamere as we go back up towards that top side, and they will take down PK. While that's been happening, though, mid lane's been taken by Beyond.
And that's the problem, is that you've overcommitted all those resources topside, and Beyond are just like, cool, we have our Aphelios mid, let's trade this up and actually get an objective for ourselves. Now, Chovy will be able to get the Terror topside off this. They should be able to get Rift Herald, which will help ease that blow for Hanwha, but they do have to be careful that they're not overcommitting resources to try and chase down these kills on top.
This is a huge moment in the game now. We're coming up to the 16-minute mark, and we're gonna have a look at the Axe replay, because this started from off screen for us.
Yeah, I like the idea here from Husha, right? You've got push mid, push top, see if you can make the play.
So smart.
Push it. Good little sidestep there to send Morgan over the wall, but unfortunately, look at where Hanwha are now positioned, right? You've cut off your mid lane from moving up towards the top side, so it ends up being this 3 versus multi-members of Hanwha Life, even with this TP coming through. And it's not going to be an even fight. And even though we see Beyond doing a lot, it just isn't quite enough as we're moving back into a scrap.
Yeah, we're looking at picture-in-picture. Bit of a scrap. It is the Tryndamere, though, so kind of have to take it with a pinch of salt, saying, look, he's not quite going to die. But while this replay kept going on and on and on, you can see just how much they have to invest, how long they have to be up in this top side just to make it worth it. And it's still only a 2k gold lead. Like, it's not that far away. Hanwha Life have been kind of sitting at this for a little while.
And the thing is, we haven't actually seen the Aphelios come into the picture yet, right? Doggo is the one with the majority of that gold lead. So when we get this Aphelios, more than likely it looks like going towards the Collector on his next buy. He's going to be a big boy, and you're going to have to give him respect. And again, when we come into these team fights, it's going to be offense is your best defense. See if you can get PK and Leon to make Deft uncomfortable in these fights. Open up Doggo to be able to follow along with you, so that then you're not just having Deft open up with the bullet time and shredding this entire team apart.
PK going to sidestep the Javelin as Morgan gets himself the W underneath the tower. They're going to try and maybe overload onto him. And honestly, given all things, yes, you're behind at CS. It's about 50 in the top side technically, and 40 or nearly 50 at this point in the mid lane. But that's not the point. That's not the reason why you're picking. You can see how long this Gwen and Tryndamere can just stay alive. They don't need that much economy just to be a nuisance onto your front line.
Yeah, especially I like the way Beyond Gaming have been managing to get Leon up against Morgan, right? Because the thing is, with the Fiora, it makes sense against the Tryndamere because you can actually get a bunch of healing off your ultimate, and you can outlive just the survivability of the Tryndamere. But the opportunity for PK is that he's going to be able to go up a little bit better against Chovy too. So it's definitely about trying to see if you can find these moments where Leon can take down Morgan and you can get PK against Chovy in those side lanes.
But I just want to call out Kino right now. I love this adaptation to Mikhail's Blessing because the reason you know what your job is. You understand the assignment. You need to protect Doggo. You need to make sure that this man is enabled at all points to carry and has as much damage as possible. But that double up is starting to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason that Misfortunes come back so strong, right? The double lethality is super nice, but unfortunately it is an Aphelios, which means that he's got Zephyrum, so he's healing up. You got the the Immortal Shield Bow, which is also doing work, and I mean, he's just back to full health.
Yep, he is back to full health. He was about 900 gold up on his counterpart. There is a 1200 gold lead for Chovy over Gwen, which is to be expected. They didn't really lane against each other. There's a two-man stun. Immediately, Kino has to use the Mikhail's Blessing. PK, though, going to keep himself alive with the W, and now Leon going to come in. They've used a lot of their ultimates here. We're going to see Willer getting caught on. He's forced to go golden immediately. There's a hook, but not quite going to land. Chovy now acting as a front line. They land the Sonic Wave. They go in. Deft is going to flash away. He does not want to get caught out by this lead in. Willer now in a little bit of trouble. They're going to jump onto Leon, who's forced to use the Undying Rage. This is good from Hanwha. They're getting a lot out of the side of Beyond as they go in. There's the exhaust going down to try and keep Doggo alive. They're going to try and just jump all on top of a Moonlight Vigil. Completely whipped. PK gets one down. That's one for Doggo, but they trade it back 1-for-1. It's a hell of an extended fight. There's so many low health bars. There's one more for Doggo, but they again trade it back. It's a 3-for-2 in favor of Hanwha. They're still going. The hook will go wide. They still have the flay. They will be able to use it. Deft! Oh no, he's able to get the heal down, but he was all a bait. Gets the kill down. 4-for-2.
An unfortunate ride on the Ruse Cruise there coming through for PK, but nicely done by Hanwha. They managed to pick up the plays. Now they can move back over towards that dragon, and what started off looking so good for Beyond Gaming falls apart at the last moment.
It really does. It means we're not going for the dragon just yet. They should be able to take it. Actually, I think the Rift Tile's just about to despawn. But let's have a look at this one, because it's an extent. They use so much to try and take out Kino.
Yeah, you can see here you get the opening of the bullet time coming through from Deft, but I want you to watch how Hanwha play this fight, right? Look how well they're kiting back, realizing they don't have an engaged tool to set up this Aphelios. As long as we keep Aphelios at arm's length, we're going to be good. And all this poke's coming down from Deft, from the Nidalee, making sure that when those health bars go low, you get Leon out of the picture. Right, now we've got the fight that we want. An instant engage coming through from the squad. It's so well coordinated by Hanwha. But you can see that Doggo is still a force to be reckoned with in these fights, right? The second you do engage for Hanwha, you've got repositioning tools for Doggo. He's playing so well at the front of this fight and gets so much work done for Beyond Gaming.
I mean, that was a close fight. Yes, Hanwha came out on top, but the Moonlight Vigil miss, you of course had the slightly overextended there from Liang. Like, one or two things hit, that's a complete wipe there for the side of Hanwha. They do not get out of that one unscathed. And yes, it is, they get the Dragon now, they get bot lane tier 1 as well. They've extended their gold lead up to about 3,500, or just under 3, or just over 3, I should say. But it's not accelerating at an exceptional pace, and you are now seeing Doggo with 2 items.
And honestly, I think this is a lot closer than a lot of people were expecting, right? I think Beyond Gaming have actually actually done a phenomenal job in
They've
this
survived
game.
lately.
I mean, look, the laning phase, as you said, for the two solo laners wasn't the hottest, right? You come out with deficits in both CS, but the way that Beyond Gaming have actually played the mid game here has been crucial to their success. Trading across map, making sure that you're actually getting the correct lane assignments with like the Trindamere. Oh, hang on.
Jovi going to go full in with the Grand Challenge, but now realizes that it was all a bait. They got himself 2v1, gets himself out immediately, does not have Ghost, so would not be able to run himself out. There are 3 people now into this mid lane. Morgan was hovering off to the top side. So we are hitting now, we can look at gold leads there. It's about 2,000 in the mid lane. You can see the top side, it's about 1,100. Bot lane, though, for Beyond is still in their favor. So again, it's what side of the map you want to play to.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a test for Hanwha, because one of the things that we've seen from them is that they actually do struggle to play at these 1-3-1 sort of compositions, particularly in the mid game, right? And you see just a little bit of it there. 2 people showing the, oh, hang on.
Oh, Doggo might be in a little bit of trouble, does not have flash, and that means he's going to go down. You cannot be standing right beside each other. Kino is almost dead. There it is. Double kill given over to Death, and that's going to mean they have full control of this mid lane. They're going to have full control around Baron.
Never mind, full collapse coming in for Hanwha, and they're just able to take the mid lane turret, and now they can fall back towards this Baron. You've only got 3 members of Beyond Gaming up. It would take a miracle for them to stop this, or for Husha to make the steal.
Yeah, Vista just trying to play keep away right now. They don't know exactly. They have no idea about the vision.
Husha tries to move in. He got the miracle steal yesterday to get Beyond Gaming 2 here. Can he do it again against Hanwha?
He's going to have to. 4,000 HP. They don't know what the HP of this Baron is right now. He's going to jump back out. Morgan said, no, I'm going to make sure you keep away. They're going to go in with a Dragon's Rage kick, but he is dead. No steal for you. PK goes golden. The Baron hasn't been stopped just yet. It will fully reset, and I think that's objective confirmed. You did it.
Yeah, I mean, stopping that Baron is actually pretty crucial here, especially when you look at how far ahead Chovy is compared to the rest of the map. Zihong trying to just bait people here, but we'll just back away. And hey, Baron stopped. It did cost you 2 members, but if that stops the side lanes, it can work.
I mean, yes, you do fall a little bit further behind. You're now coming up to about 6,000 gold behind in terms of your game, but I mean, you don't lose the Baron. You now have Doggo coming back up. He is about 1,500 gold away from an Infinity Edge. He is going to become that 3-item monster, and you've bought time, which is all Beyond wanted.
Yeah, and you'll have to have another look here to see exactly how it went down, because Doggo just over-relying there on Kino to try and keep him safe, not realizing how many members of Hanwha were here, but you don't really need to contest that wave, right? Look at where your 2 side lanes are. Not in a position to come and help. Hanwha realize this, you get the TPs, and they're just like, cool, if we can commit towards this now, we're going to be in great shape. And unfortunately, because of that mistake from Doggo, you get Beyond Gaming now having to commit to trying to stop this Baron, which costs 2 more lives.
Yeah, I still feel like Hanwha could have taken this Baron. I feel like they over-indexed into just stopping Husha.
So this is actually one of the big things that the Smite changes brought. Now that, like, you used to be the old school is like, oh, we'll have a level advantage, I get a bit more. But because of the Smite being capped at 900, it actually opens up Lee Sin for some really great steals, because you get the extra Q damage off the Q, and you also get the steal. But you are up against the Nidalee, so still always going for the 50-50. I'm not sure if you want to try and, like, coin flip a game here as Hanwha.
Yeah, not quite. You are still 6,000 gold behind, a little bit above it, and or sorry, 6,000 gold ahead, as I should say. It is Hanwha. They're still pretty comfortable. They're feeling good. They know they have the tools available to them, but I feel like the longer this game goes on, the more equal it becomes. Beyond are going to be feeling much better, but because like we said, the laning phase was 100% Hanwha, so they need to be the ones being proactive to punish the fact that they're ahead on items.
Yeah, the biggest problem for Beyond is that they just don't win the 3v3 in the mid lane, right? Doggo can't really aggress up to the lane. He gets poked out. He's outranged. So they're struggling to keep control of mid and these sides. So when Hanwha come out onto the map with initiative, you can see Morgan dipping into Fog of War, making sure that Hanwha can get the push, while you're always having Chovy shown on the bot side, trying to shove in that wave against PK.
PK does have TP available, as does Chovy, so it would both be able to join in on this fight. Baron proc just a little bit to say hi to Husha. And that's going to be soul point now for Hanwha Live. It is a Cloud Soul in true LCK fashion to start us off in this series. Shout out to Atlas, king of the Cloud Souls. But yeah, you can see right now, we haven't even really talked about it, but Dev 4-0-6, he's got himself 3 items. He's prolonged his tier 2 boots because he knows if he can just get the damage down to burst out Doggo, he wins the fight regardless.
Yeah, and I think as well, we're seeing the same story from Hanwha that we've seen in plays thus far, right? Great objective control coming through. They've already got the 3 dragons for themselves. Pretty much synonymous with what we've seen with their average, which is 3.3 dragons over the course of play-ins. They've managed to get a ton of those Rift Heralds as well. It just feels like Hanwha, at least even if Beyond are kind of starting to contest them, Unfortunately, it's just the map state still going the way of Hanwha and those neutral objectives.
Here we go. Infinity Edge has been finished for Doggo. He's got himself his flash, his cleanse. The next fight that he's able to kind of pop off in could be massive.
That's the thing, though. I'm curious to see if we can find that success for Doggo. We saw him struggling when Hanwha were kiting back to get into those fights. Can he now find that? Is there the flanks coming through from Beyond Gaming, which is a big struggle when you're behind on the map, when Hanwha are pushing into jungle and littering their vision across that top side?
And we are getting to the point now where the next fight is going to be all hands on deck. All summoners available, big items picked up as well. We can actually see the Kempunk Chainsword being picked up here by Chovy, so he's kind of at that big, obnoxious point where as a 2-item Tryndamere or even a 2-item Gwen, you just can't deal with this.
Young. I don't know if you want to be there.
Don't know if you want to go for that, but oh my God, Lord, that double up. That was absurd amount of damage. While that's been happening on the top side, we have a little bit of a problem for PK in the bot as they're going to go head-to-head with Chovy, and this is a 4v4 and a 1v1, but they're going to get the Gravitum down onto Morgan. That's going to force them away. That's a tier 2 down, though, but you can see how powerful Deft is on his own right.
Yeah, he is crazy strong, and having come out of the lane phase with that massive lead and then also being able to get a ton of these kills, it's working out really well. And the big thing again for Deft is he doesn't really have to worry too much. As long as he's able to keep Beyond at arm's length, he's just going to be hitting them, poking them. You've still got to open up with the bullet time as well. It's whenever you find Beyond being able to close that gap, that's when Hanwha are going to begin to sweat.
This game still feels in Hanwha's control. Very much something they can go for, as Liang is going to have to be the one to face check. He does not have an Undying Rage just yet, but he's going to have to spin his way over to the side. Sorelda's going to slow him down. They now know it's going down. It's not an exceptionally quick Baron, must be said, but there is very little vision right now. Kino, you're in a lot of trouble if you get caught out here. Chovy's on the flank. They're going to go for it. Vista being caught off. They're going to try and just commit on the Doggo straight away. He flashes away. Going to try and put down the damage, but the bullet time from Deft absolutely shreds these health bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hanwha Life will decimate Beyond in this fight, and there's nothing they can do about it. Beyond gonna have Liang as the last remaining player, and they're gonna look to end the game.
Yeah, and Hanwha just collapsing so well there, managing to pick up Beyond as they're trying to contest the Baron, but it will now be Hanwha closing out game number 1.
Game 1 in 29 minutes. Hanwha take their first all-important step towards getting themselves to the group stage. It looked like they may have had opportunities for Beyond, but in the end, the pressure just became too much.
Yeah, and that was the big problem for Beyond, was like, look, your solo lanes aren't really stepping up to the mark when it comes towards the actual laning phase. Yes, you got a ton of the map plays that set up Doggo for success, but this is a composition that's so difficult for this Aphelios to work in, and you see the results, right? Hanwha power through strong laners, power through Deft, who's on this misfortune, and take over this game.
And again, we praise Beyond. It's like, yes, look, they sacked the laning phase. I think they kind of realized, look, there's not really a lot we can do about here. But if we survive and we get Doggo up, but Hanwha just being smarter, being quicker to the punch, and just putting on so much pressure in so many ways that they're just spread too thin.
Yeah,